If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Holographist coach, Christine McIver.
Well, hello, everyone. So happy to have you here tonight. I am Christine McIver, and tonight we've got a special show created for you called Desire Without the Action. Do you have desire without the action following your desire to actually actualize what you desire? That's a little bit of a mouthful, but I've been talking to a number of clients and different colleagues, and this has been coming up repeatedly. So it was really asking to be spoken to, and I know that I've been in that space before, so we're going to get into that quite shortly. Over the last few weeks, we've been building on our shows. We've been talking about Afraid to Start due to attached responsibilities. Did you catch that show? It's amazing how we really stop ourselves from moving forward because of the responsibilities that we have attached to it, to whatever it is that we want to begin with. And so many of these really made up responsibilities are a lie. They're not ours, and they're from, just a lot of assumptions and a lot of belief systems that are no longer true for us. So definitely check that show out. Then we followed up with Proving You're Doing Business by Working Hard Instead of Smart. That is a conversation that, it's not the first time that topic's been spoken to, and yet it's so critical that we keep looking at this because it's so easy to fall back into old patterns, and that is definitely a show that I really, really enjoyed. It. As I'm doing some of my shows sometimes, my friends, I feel like I'm not just doing them for the listeners, I'm also doing them for myself because I can feel those old patterns trying to come back into play. And then last we were together, we were talking about, are you all foreplay without follow through? It's a fun topic, but it was really about talking about going to do something and just really just talking about it and not actually moving into that. And that's why this show followed that. This is really about action tonight. We're talking about action. So before we get into tonight's show, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. As you know, I am a radio show host and a podcaster. I have been in this field, doing this type of medium since, I'm in my 10th year, actually. I've been doing it since 2011. And it's been a wild, expansive growth area for me, most definitely. I love doing radio, and I love that what radio has actually invited me to, and really what is that it's actually demanded me to become more of me and to step into more of my awareness. It's a fantastic medium. I was speaking with somebody today who was thrilled about the idea of being able to really show up. And because we do live radio, it does require us to really be present and to really show up and to invite ourselves to stretch, invite ourselves to be even more aware and be willing to tap into all that we are aware of, all of our knowing, all of our skills and capacities, and to be present with you, the listener. So that has been such a gift for me. And as I said, I'm in my 10th year. I've also been doing TV for a number of years, and we are now doing TV through Inspired Choices Network. We are now blasting out video TV shows to over 100 smart TVs. So you've got to check that out. You can find Inspired Choices Network TV through the Binge Network app, and you can get that on your smart TVs. You can get that on Apple TV. You can get that on Roku, Fire Stick, all sorts of them. They're out there. Or you can go to Binge Network's .com, I believe it is. And you can enjoy our TV if you like video. And, of course, all of our shows are going to be put up on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram TV, and LinkedIn 10-minute clip there. So you are going to be able to find us in audio and in video. How cool is that? So this is something that I do personally for my own business, and we are so easy to. It's so easy to find us, as Keisha, my producer, says. Exactly, we are easy to find, and we can sometimes be easy. But this is something that I do both for my own business as well as for my producers and my hosts. This is something that I love creating, and I invite people into showing up and being much more visible in their own lives and in their businesses. And it's fantastic, and it's certainly an opportunity for me to show up more, and it's an opportunity I invite you to show up more in your business as well. So if this intrigues you, if you're curious, reach out to me at Christine at inspiredchoices.ca, or you can go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, and you can find lots of information there, and then we can connect and find out if we would be a match, and we would be a match for you, and you would be a match for us. Okay, so let's talk about tonight's show, shall we? Desire without the action. Do you ever feel a pull towards your desires? Do you ever get a pop about a desire, like, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be fun? And do you think about those desires? Do you dream about those desires? What about moving into writing them out? And then once you've done all of that, do you feel like they just hang out there waiting for you and waiting for you? Do you actually desire to take action of those desires? You know, I can remember, and I'll just stay on the theme of the radio show. I can remember back in, I think it was 2009, 2010, I had done a vision board workshop in my own, setup, and I had a number of people there. I think there was about 10 of us in the room, and we were creating a vision board, and I created one along with the rest of the participants. And I took the vision board and I put it up on the wall in my office, the wall that I faced, and it was above my computer as I faced my computer as well. And I would look at that vision board every day, and I would think about those visions, those desires of mine. And I would dream about them, and I would talk about them, and I would write things about them. And I would, I really do believe in connecting with our desires and being a vibrational match with our desires to bring them forth. And one of the things that I put on there was something called Blog Talk Radio. And I got a telephone call from a network, an online radio network. And they said to me, have you ever thought about doing radio? And my eyes shot up to that vision board. And just up in the right-hand corner, it said Blog Talk Radio. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I was really in that childlike, joyful excitement. But yet underneath there was a lot of uncertainty and nervousness, because I didn't have a clue what it was all about. I had no clue what Blog Talk Radio was about. I had no clue what radio was about at all. But there was this excitement in my body that was so magnetic, my friends, pulling me forward. I could not turn that desire off, even if I wanted to. Have you ever had that type of desire? It's so strong, it feels like your body is moving forward and you don't even have to think about it. It's just happening. Well, that was one of those times for me. And I said, yes. I thought about it. I didn't tell them at the time. I had no clue what it was. And yes. And so they started to talk to me about it, and they started, we started having communications and emails and lots of different conversations about it. And everything inside of me was screaming, yes. And I had no idea. I still had no idea how to do this. And I was saying yes. I was allowing my knowing, not my brain, not my thoughts, but I was allowing my knowing to take me forward in this desire. And it was absolutely fantastic and as scary as hell. It was scary. And I remember the very first radio show that I did. Now, they trained me what I needed to do and everything, but the very first radio show that I did, my friends, I was so overwhelmed during the first 15 minutes, I actually cried. I was crying with joy. I was crying with gratitude. I was crying with fear. I had tears going for the first 15 minutes of the show. And at break time, the producer came on and said, Christine, we're having a hard time hearing you. Can you please call in with your phone? And so I did. I called in, and it was interesting. No one really heard. It was quite fascinating how the universe had my back on this. No one really heard the depth of the tears and the anxiety that was happening for me. But what actually was created in me was an excitement. And I started to allow, right? I was allowing the action to come forth. Do you actually allow your actions to come forth with your desires? Or are you judging your actions? Are you holding back because you have not yet come up with the perfect, and I'm doing this in quotations, the perfect way to take action for success? One of the greatest things that we do to sabotage our desires, to actually wipe our desires off our desire plate, off our desire, our vision boards, off our hearts, is we put massive expectation into how they have to show up. And if we do not figure it out, if we do not have it down pat, the way we've decided it has to show up, it has to look, it has to come out, it has to be birthed, right? We refuse to let it come forth. Imagine, I really want you to get this. Imagine what is desiring to come forth and birth through you is a human being. Do you have control at how that human being is going to look? No, you don't. And I don't ever want to see a day that we have that control. I can remember I've been blessed with two beautiful children. My first child was a boy, my second child a girl. And I can remember both times trying to envision what these children look like. Now, I refused to know their sex. I did not want to know their sex. But I still continue to imagine what their faces look like, imagine what their eyes look like, imagine what their smiles look like. I did this the whole time that I knew I was expecting them. But I didn't stop them from coming forth because I didn't have the control at what they were going to look like or how they were going to show up in the world. What a gift that we don't have that control. How many of us would actually stop bringing forth beautiful beings that desire to come into this world because we want them to show up a certain way? And oh my gosh, how many people expected that they were going to have one sex, and they ended up having another, and they were over the moon with joy. I thought for 8.5 months I was having a girl with my first child, and it wasn't until a couple weeks before I was actually giving birth that my midwife said to me, by the way, you're having a boy. And now there was no ultrasound done. It was from her experience, felt that I was having a boy. Well, it still wasn't 100%, right? Not in my mind anyways. But it was like, if I'd have thought I was having a boy all along, I wonder what might have changed with me. I don't know. But what I do know is I'm thrilled at how they were divinely created, only coming forth through my desires. Would you be willing to allow your desires to come forth through divine design? I wonder what would show up if you would literally take your hands off the wheel of control and allow your desires to birth into your world. Your desires came to you so that they could come through you. But if you keep trying to control them, or you refuse to step into action, they cannot actualize. My friends, you are both the creator and you are both the judge and jury of your desires. How about we start to change that tonight? How about we allow those desires to come forth so you can create something that's never been in the world before? I want you to think about that while we take our first break. You're listening to Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network. I desire for you to listen to these commercials and to see you after the break. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Tonight we're talking about desire without the action. You know, so many of us have desires on our heart, and we hold back taking action because we can't see exactly how to take every step. How many of you out there go, you know what, I haven't quite figured it out yet. I don't know exactly how to do it. I don't have it. I don't have all the knowledge. I just don't know. I just don't know. Do Do you ever get really frustrated with yourself? Do you ever get frustrated thinking, oh, because I can't figure it out, it's just a pie in the sky idea? Do you ever actually think that you've got to know all the steps in order to actualize something? I know, right? Christine's talking crazy again. Well, here's the thing, my friends. You didn't come to planet Earth to be alone, all right? There's 7.5 billion of us here, all right? Most people, I would say 99% of people, did not come here to create solo. You may be in a solo company. It may be just you under that umbrella. But there are so many people out there that have skills and capacities, have knowledge, have tools that can contribute to you. And perhaps you have skills and knowledge that can contribute to others. So many people who are desiring to create stop themselves because of a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is they don't know how to do it all. Another reason is they don't have the money to pay somebody else. And the third one is they don't know how to bridge those two together. When you get to that position, do you ever actually ask a question? Like, yo, Desire, how would you like to come forth into the world? Show me. Yo, Desire, who out there maybe would like to co-create this with me? Yo, Desire, how can I actually have a team member when the money isn't there yet? Yo, Desire, that's the new tag, Keisha. Hashtag Yo, Desire. Listen, if you were really up against it and you absolutely had to, let me try and get this out of my brain through my mouth. If you actually had to create something in order to save someone's life, I'm not even going to say your own life because some of us are really stupid. If you actually had to co-create with someone to save someone else's life, let's say it's a loved one of yours, and you didn't have all the keys to how to save them. You know, maybe you need to be a doctor. Maybe you need to be someone that has the money. Maybe you need to, have a particular skill, have a particular tool. If you needed to save somebody, would you reach out and do whatever was required to save that person? Yes, of course you would. You wouldn't be stubborn. You wouldn't be bullheaded. You wouldn't try to hide under the guise of, I'm too shy, or I'm embarrassed, or I feel silly, or, what will they think of me, or, I don't really want to be visible. I really don't want to be seen. You wouldn't. Those thoughts would not even come to your mind. Oh, for a second you might feel like you're going to be embarrassed asking, and then you would look at your loved one and go, I don't give a crap how stupid I'm going to look. I'm going to ask. Have you ever had to reach out and ask someone for help? Have you? There was a time when a dear family member of mine was going through some deep, deep struggles. And I did not have the skill set. I did not have the resources to help that person. But I'll tell you what I had. I had determination and I had desire. So how much desire do you have in you? And how determined are you to bring your desires to the surface? Right? Are you playing wishy-washy with your desires? Right? Your desires. Imagine your desires are a person. Desire A and desire B. Desire A says desire B, why are you going through that person? Why did you come to that person? Like, they seem really wishy-washy. Oh, I don't know. Like, I really like them. Christine seems like a nice person. I want to give her a chance to bring me forth. Really? Really? Because she's not taking action on anything. Like, I saw, a bunch of different desires try to come through her, and she did nothing. Really? Well, I'll just maybe hang over here for a little while and see what happens. See if she actually does anything. Can you imagine? Okay, you just got a window into my brain. If you you have a desire to take care of a loved one, you are not going to be wishy-washy. You are going to jump into action. Would you be willing? Would you be willing to honor those desires within you? Remember, they are coming to you so they can come through you. And they're desiring to come through you because there is something within you that is going to make them different than if they came through somebody else, anybody else on this planet. But my friend, you've got to have your desires back. Do you have your desires back? Are you willing to do what it takes to bring it to fruition? Are you willing to be embarrassed? Are you willing to just move through and be seen, even if you look silly? Okay? Even if you cry all the way through 15 minutes of a live worldwide broadcast. Are you willing? If I hadn't been willing there, my friends, and I can remember that 5-minute window just before I was going to go live, just before the producers came on and said, okay, Christine, we've got 5 minutes to go. I'm telling you, my heart, the palpitations in my heart, I remember I was pounding my feet on the floor, trying to get stable. I was flipping out, and I have never felt like this before. But now it feels like what was actually happening in me was an earthquake. Something was breaking open within me to come forth through me. That was my desire coming through me. I had to be willing. I had to be willing to let it birth forward. If you've had a child, you know that it feels like your earth is breaking open so that something amazing can come forth. But you amazing creator, you amazing desiring being, you are too stuck in your head and you are not connected to the gift that it is to have a desire come to you. You're too stuck in your head. It's an honor. It's a privilege to have a desire lay on your heart. It is such an amazing, beautiful thing. I had the desire to have not only a global radio show, but also a TV show. I had the desire to have a network that could be a contribution to other people that were like me, that didn't know what they were doing, but they could start. They could start to show up. They could start to be visible. They could start to be seen. They could start to be heard. I had a desire to support people that didn't have the knowledge, but that I could support them to bring it forth because I could teach them with ease. I had the desire for this, and my friends, I'm there. I am there. This has been a process. And you know what? There has been so many times, we don't have enough time for me to explain them all, but there has been so many times that felt like I hit a wall and I hit a wall and I hit a wall and I couldn't get this to move and I couldn't get that to move and I didn't know how I was going to pay this bill. I didn't know how I was going to hire that expert. I didn't know what I was going to do, but what I kept doing, and I promise you, this is God's truth, what I kept doing was I kept tapping back into my desire. I allowed my desire to fuel my action. Are you allowing your desire to fuel your action? Where are your eyes lying? Are your eyes lying on the mountain in front of you, or are your eyes lying on where you want to be? Are you looking at your desire going, I'm coming, I'm going to make that happen, I'm coming, I don't know how, I don't know who is going to help me, I don't know where the money's going to come from, I don't know how many hours I'm going to have to stay awake, but I'm going to make it happen. You have got to keep your eye on the prize so that you don't stay stuck in your head and you allow the desire to take you forward, to move you into action. It is your job. I'll tell you what your job is. Your job is to stay connected to that desire. Your job is to get in there with that desire. Your job is to infuse every sense you have in your body. If you can touch it, if you can taste it, if you can smell it, it's like someday I think I want to be on the front of a big magazine. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a picture of that magazine and I'm going to get somebody to Photoshop my picture on that magazine and have that in front of me. We people went through a phase where they're like, oh, visualization is not really the thing. That's bull, because your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and actualization. Your brain doesn't know the difference. Your knowing might know the difference, but hey, where the patterns are stuck are in your brain, and we have got to change the way that we connect with the brain, because we start to operate throughout our day. We start to go into unconscious competence. We start to do things without thinking about it, like we brush our teeth, how we drive our car, the way that we operate. So much, over 80% of what we do in our lives is based on unconscious incompetence, right? We're really good at something. We just keep doing it the same way. Well, that's how your brain is wired, my friends. And so if you are allowing that unconscious competence to drive your desire and the action therefore attached to it, you're going to more than likely stay stuck in just the wanting, in just the wishing. And that, my friends, is a shame. It's actually a real big letdown for your life, because those desires came to you so they could come through you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. I want you to digest everything I've been sharing with you. When we get back, we're going to dig a little bit deeper so that we can really help to move you forward and get those desires living and breathing in the world, and allow them to contribute not only to you, but to the world around you. People are looking for the desires that are trying to come through you. Your job is to get into action. You're listening to Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you ready to have pleasure with your business? Yes, I said pleasure with your business. The Pleasure of Business a la carte will surprise you with topics like meet yourself in the boardroom, money, services, and you. Expand your visibility. The pleasure of communication. The pleasure of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Christine McIver has so much pleasure with business and loves teaching all things business. Beginning a new business? Desiring to expand a current business? Or looking to resurrect a business that has been dormant? This program will get you fired up and bring more pleasure than you have ever imagined. Exhausted with your excuses for not creating a phenomenal business? Join now for all the pleasure with business. Pleasure of Business a la carte gives you total choice for what you desire and what your business requires. That's 24 weeks of different topics to choose from with weekly calls, audio and video recordings, and PDFs. This class will have you dive right in and use tools to create the business that has been speaking to you. Go to inspiredchoices.ca for full details or join the Facebook page, Pleasure of Business a la carte. Now is the time for you and your business.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. How are you doing? I've been really throwing a lot at you tonight. We're talking about desire without the action. And so many of us have desires, but we don't know where to begin. We don't know how to bring it forth. And then what we do is we get lost in our head in the how. The how is none of your business. How to bring something forward really is none of your business. That's the desire that's coming forth. The desire that's coming forth will start to lay things out in front of you. I can tell you that I'm probably one of the biggest control freaks out there. And I'm telling you, like anybody on my team will tell you that, yeah, she's a pretty strong control freak. But here's the thing, my friends. Here's what I've come to learn. There's times when it's important for you to take the action and drive the ship, and there's times when what you need to be doing is driving the desire. And until something is completely laid out and you understand the pattern of it, you are to drive the desire, not the action. The desire will actually start to, the universe, your intuition, your knowing, will start to bring things forth one step at a time. But you've got to be willing to take the action, even if you don't know how. You've got to trust that desire in you wants to come forth. Now, I'll tell you something, and I've told this story before, so if you've heard it before, I apologize, but it really does speak to this. I had done radio. I was actually doing radio on another platform. And I had, when I first started, I was with Voice America. And at one point, I was actually doing it with a business partner. Well, that business relationship ended quite abruptly shortly after we signed a 1-year contract with Voice America. And so what took place is we each did one show every other week. And it was uncomfortable. It wasn't what we had both imagined it would be, and it certainly didn't come forth in the way that I really desired it to come forth. But we had the contract, so I followed through with it. About a month and a half after that concluded, I learned a technique of really following my knowing when I asked my business what it would like me to focus on. And I can tell you when I first started to do that, the very first day I asked, okay, business, what would you like me to focus on? What I heard in my head was radio show. And immediately I was like, what? Why the hell would we do that? That was ridiculous. We just finished that. We don't want to go back. And it was so loud. Like the fighting within me was so loud. And I went, stop. Just take a step. Just take one step. Don't go into the yeah buts. Don't go into the fighting. Don't go into how it's going to look. Just take one step. So I reached out to someone that I knew that had a radio station platform, and I said, hey, I think I'd like to set up a radio show. And, she and I knew each other, and she's like, yeah, no problem. Come on over. And so I started to do my solo radio show again on that platform. And it was about, I'd say about a month, 6 weeks in, she actually turned around to me and she said, hey, have you ever thought about producing? And I was like, in my head immediately, I went, what?
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show. every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
So, as I was saying, as this idea came to my head, or as she asked me, have you ever thought about producing? I was like, I'm a person who does my own business. I'm a business person, and, I did human resources, and I don't know anything about producing, and why would I do that? And, I can you hear what was happening? It was all the excuses why not to do it. Instead, I went, okay, stop. What if what if you're just open to asking some questions? What if you just follow this path until you don't want to follow it anymore, right? Because, Christine, you don't know anything about this path. You haven't been down this path. You don't know where this path might lead. Okay. So I said, tell me more. So she started to tell me, and she started to show me, and I was like, okay. So she said, anybody that you brought on to the platform, they would be your hosts, and you would produce them, and you would work with them from the business aspect, and you would train them, and you would do all of that. And whatever, this is what you would pay the network, and this is what, whatever difference, you would keep that money. Oh, okay. All right. So I was at this point, I was like, all right, well, I had nothing to lose, right? It's not going to cost me. There was no output for me. So I said, all right, I'll give it a try. So I started to talk to people, and people were intrigued. I've never thought about doing that. Within 6 months, my friends, of following that, hey, it's not a big deal. Within 6 months, I was the least owner of that platform. That was in 2014. In 2017, I launched the Inspired Choices Network. So I took all of my hosts and everything we created over there, and I brought it over to my own creation. All right? It was history in the making. It was so phenomenal. But here's the gift in what I'm saying to you. If you would stop judging the opportunities, and you would allow the opportunities to show up based on your desires, the opportunities, the connections, the people that you can be creating with, they may be so out of the box different than you imagined that if you start to cut them off, you lose something that could actually be a huge, huge contribution. All right, it's so important that you start to follow the nudges. You start to follow the path. Take a different path. Try something new. See, if you keep fanning the flames of your desires and you keep being in touch with them and looking at them and writing them down and imagining what it's going to be like to be part of that, to have your dream actualized and you to actually be in the hologram of your life, the hologram of your business, the hologram of your relationship, if you would fan those flames, they may show up very different, but the end result will be fulfilling your dreams. You see, my friends, if you can think it, it can come to you. If you can imagine it, it is done. But the problem is most of us get in our own way and we actually don't allow it to come through based on judgment, right? If it can be done, consider it done. If it can be done, consider it done. Know that the universe has got your back. Know it's going to show up. I have been on a quest for probably 2 years in creating something. It's a big technical piece, and I'm not going to get into it tonight, but I'm telling you, about 3 or 4 months ago, I thought, this is just not going to happen. I went, wait, no, that's not true. If it can be done, consider it done, is what kept going through my mind. I know it's possible because I'm imagining it possible. I know the universe has got my back. And I kept asking questions, and I kept looking at the possibilities, and I kept reaching out and talking to people and imagining, seeing it completed. And I'm telling you, I worked most of today, and we are so close that I actually considered using, actually following through and trying it today, but not yet. There's another one little piece. But I'm telling you, my friends, your job is the desire, not the how. And your job is to follow the nudges. Keep following the nudges. Don't imagine, though, that it has to fully show up with all of the steps A to Z laid out in front of you before you begin. Because sometimes, kind of like a scavenger hunt, sometimes you're not going to know the second step until you go to the first step. And then the first step will take you to the second step, and the second step will take you to the third step, the third step will take you to the fourth step, and so on. This is how some of the greatest desires have been unfolded. You got to get in there. You got to get in there and touch it and start to be with it. Get out of your head. It's a crazy land up in there. And the only thing that's ever been in your head is the past. The tracks that have been laid are the tracks that you've already walked. If you want to walk a new path, you got to lay new tracks. You can't be in your head and expect your desires to come through there. It's not going to happen. All right, we're going to take our final break of the show. You're listening to Inspired Choices with Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices Network. Come back. I've got a little bit more I want to talk to you about. Stay tuned.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for being an inspiration in the world. Maybe you and I don't know each other yet, but I am sure that if you are listening to this show, I'm sure that if you have breath in your body, there is someone you are inspiring out there. If you are someone that desires to bring more to the world, you're someone that desires to bring what you know is possible into actualization, and you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed by technology on how to show up on social media, a website, how to kind of get everything moving in that direction, I have a fabulous program. I love working with people with this program. This program is called Strategic Business, all right? I have a strategic business package where I look at all things from your finances to planning your business 6 months out to social media, branding. Maybe you've got YouTube and you've got 2 or 3 different YouTube channels or 2 or 3 different Google accounts. You've got emails all over the place. Maybe you've created so much, but everything's all over the place and you just don't know which direction to go. This package will absolutely start to bring everything into alignment so that you can really focus on your creations and have everything, your foundation laid out so you can move forward faster and easier. So you're not feeling like you're kind of buried underneath a pile of chaos. This strategic package is normally $1,750 Canadian. It is on right now for only 1,000 Canadian. So that's about $750 US, and that gives you over 7 hours of work with me where we go through everything with your business and start to really put things in order. And I'll be teaching you all along the way as we're doing that. That's something that I absolutely love to do. So if you're looking for support, or if you'd just like to have a conversation to see if we would be a fit to get more detail, do email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca, and we can certainly talk about that. My friends, you can find me on all the social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. I don't know. I'm all over the place. My website is inspiredchoices.ca, or you can find me here on the inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. I'm here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I have over 275 episodes in replay that you can listen to, lots of them about business, lots about self-confidence, about relationships, you name it. I've probably got a show that you can check out. You can find that here on the Inspired Choices Network, or you can find this on over 50 podcast platforms. Go to your favorite podcast platform. You'll be able to find it. Next week, my friends, we're talking about business by default or by desire. How many people are actually moving forward, doing something, either working for someone else or working in their own business, and they got there by default. We're going to look at that. We're going to keep diving deeper and deeper into all of these business conversations and looking at where you're at and how you can begin to change it with ease so that you can move forward really, again, flaming those fuels of desire. What I really want you to take away from tonight, my friends, is I want you to remember that you have an opportunity to take your desires to the next level. But you've got to get out of your head and you've got to do it a different way. All right? You can't be playing wishy-washy with your desires. You've got to take them seriously. If you imagine, like we were talking about at one point, if you imagine your desire was a human being within you trying to come forth, you would take it seriously. I wonder what your desires would look like and how quickly they would come forth if you imagine them to be a human being, or the responsibility that would be required of you to really show up with your desires like you would if it was a human being. I am sure that many of you would step up to the plate in a different way and stop playing hide and seek with your desires. My friends, until next time, I want to thank you very, very much. I'm incredibly grateful for you being here. I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity to speak to each and every one of you. And next week, we will start all over again, talking about what really is possible. Until next time, my friends, I want you to remember, you can always make another choice. Take good care, and we'll see you on the airwaves next week. Bye for now, my friends.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.